Welcome back to Y&R For Life, where we talk about all things Y&R related. We talk about what's going on, my predictions, what I think's going to happen. Hey, we even talk about fashion on the show because I'm a big time fashion girl, so we got to spill the tea about that from time to time. If you're new to this channel, my question is, what took you so long to get here? And if you are returning, what's up? Long time no see. It's been a week. It's been 2 days of Ashley, and we're going to talk about that, but it was quite the week. Few disclaimers before we get into it. If you don't want to know what's going on, you kind of want to get caught up on your own, this might not be what you want to see or hear, but I am so grateful that you are here. And if I happen to not mention something, it could be I plumb forgot, or it really just wasn't newsworthy, so I didn't bother mentioning it. It's the nature of the beast, as I like to say. It is what it is, so we just roll with it. And lastly, if you like this type of content, you like what you see, you like what you hear, it would be so kind if you hit that like and subscribe button and hit the bell notification so that you don't miss a single video that I post here on Y&R For Life. I try and post on Sundays, ending of the week, let everything marinate. But sometimes life happens. I almost didn't get a chance to do this video because I haven't been feeling that great. My son got sick. The whole family ended up getting sick. So, you know what? Pardon me if I sound a little hoarse, but I will get through it because I do it all for you. Anyway, so let's see. Beginning of the week, we saw Claire, Summer, and Kyle. And basically, Claire had just finished with being with Harrison, being his nanny for the day. Summer had come over wearing that God-forsaken dress. Ugh, she looked, as I said last time, she looked all sorts of uncomfortable with that dress. And I felt uncomfortable for her because it just looked a mess on her. Color-wise, but the whole cut, no. So, that's my little fashion moment. So Claire basically was like, so, given the fact that I had a trial, like, how do you think it went? So Kyle was like, fantastic. And Summer was like, oh, okay. Not in those words exactly, but you get the gist. Kyle was more, excited than Summer was. And we know why Kyle's excited. Just saying. So, yeah. Kyle decides that he's going to tell Summer why on God's green earth he decided at that moment, but I think he had some verbal diarrhea and he just decided to spew it out. And he basically tells Summer, I've got some information that you need to know. She's like, why does this sound like something that I'm not going to want to hear? Well, he basically says Jordan is alive. And Summer loses her noodle and was like, she went off after Claire. Did you know this? Claire's like, yes. And Claire basically says, look, I just learned about this morning. I wanted to tell you, but I had to respect my family's wishes because they wanted to basically brief you. And I didn't want to ruffle any feathers with my family. Now, I don't blame Claire. I mean, Summer, get over it. She just learned about it that morning. And Summer was like, you mean to tell me it was her first day on the job and she lied already? She's already keeping secrets. Summer, tone it down. Like, calm down. So Kyle was like, yes, Victor wanted to tell you, but I asked if I could handle it. And yes, he goes and tells Summer, and Summer just runs off, losing her marbles, and she ends up meeting do-gooder Chance, where once again I was like, where has he been? And all of a sudden he shows up. Okay. And they're at Chancellor Park, and she's going on about the same thing. Claire's keeping secrets. It's her first day on the job. How could she do this? I knew she couldn't be trusted. And she just went off. Again, guns blazing. And do-gooder Chance was just like, well, she just kind of got back to her family, and like, maybe we should be giving her the benefit of the doubt. And she's like, wait, so like, you're not on my side? And he's like, no, I'm always going to be on your side. And then he's like, look, if they've given her a second chance, like, I can't see why. And again, this thing just regurgitated over and over again. So we kind of don't, Summer at this point is just like very apprehensive yet again over Claire. Again, there's that little voice in my head that says, down the pipeline, Claire might, her little in the past ways may come back up. I don't know. I'm really trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. Everything seems nice and hunky-dory now, all nice and rosy, but I just have this gnawing feeling. Anyway, so Kyle ends up at Society, where Mariah and Tessa are there, and they basically have this, hey, what's going on? Kyle basically says, look, Jordan is alive, and Mariah is like, oh. And he's there talking about what happened and the whole 9 yards. And Tessa ends up slinking off, giving Mariah the side eye, like, almost like, don't get involved. But Mariah, she got a dipsy doodle in just about anything. She just, this is what she does. So she basically says to Kyle, I kind of gotta go with Snowflake on this one. Like with Summer, I kind of am like Team Summer, where I could see where she would be apprehensive, and almost like an old leopard can't change its spots. Old leopard? Not leper. Oh my goodness, leopard. A leopard can't change its spots. Anyway, and Kyle was on the defense, like block, block, block. And she's like, wonder why you're so on the defense where Claire is concerned. Could it be like more to this? Once again, Mariah, she knows, Kyle's her best friend, and she knows that basically Kyle probably has the hots for Claire. It is so clear. It's abundantly clear. But whatever. Okay. Kyle, again, on the defense. But we will move on from them. So basically, Cole ends up at the tack house, and Claire hadn't come home yet. So he's at the tack house with Victoria, and he's like, yeah, I want to see how my little girl did on her first day of the job. And Victoria's like, well, she's not home yet. So they had their little conversation, Once again, we all know, that Cole has the hots for Victoria, and Victoria is trying to play coy, but she has the hots for Cole too. So there's no love interest, and we will talk about a possible love interest in my prediction, because I've got one. I have to remember. Anyway, so Claire eventually comes home. They have their little conversation, and she's like, that's great. Everything's great. However, now Summer knows that Jordan is alive, and yeah, that was just a mess. So Victoria's like, what? She can't blame you. Like, that's crazy. Do you want me to talk to her? And she's like, no. And she's like, said something about Kyle, but she's like, look, I'm not trying to, get in good or, with my boss, my employer. Claire, I don't know what to tell you. Kyle's got the hots for you. You probably have a little bit of googly eyes for him, but maybe you're a little blinded by little Harrison and the fact that Jordan is alive, and like you can't see how much like you got the hots for him. Like, I don't know. But eventually it's gonna come. I'm surprised they haven't kissed yet, but eventually, that's gonna happen. All right. Who do we want to talk about next? Okay, so we basically saw Chelsea. I told you I get Chloe and Chelsea mixed up. So Chelsea and Adam had come back from, was it out east? And yeah, they were talking about little Connor and the fact that once again, little Connor is beating himself up. Like this OCD thing is no joke. I've never personally heard of anybody going to that extent, but I mean, I do know some people that do suffer from OCD, but I've never heard that they've gone to this extent of hitting themselves and like if that is true, like my heart goes out to them, but I've just never ever heard of that. So of course, Chelsea and Adam, the whole we're bad parents and we can't believe that and this is crazy and we don't know what we're going to do and insert tears, insert hugs, and then insert Sally, who basically comes in, with her key to find them in a warm embrace. Well, Sally's wheels on her bus are now going, like a hamster on a wheel. And I'm thinking, okay, I hope we're not going to do this jealousy thing. Like, this thing happens way too often. Can't you just sit back and say, here is Adam, here is Chelsea, they co-parent Connor, and they're going through something. You knew they went away, and just let it be. Obviously, somebody is consoling somebody, so why you gotta look like this? Yeah, Sally, don't go there. Don't. Because Chelsea is all up into Billy, and I don't know why, but all right. So that was almost like a scene filler. They had that in the episode, but I kind of glossed over it because there was so much other stuff that had occurred. Okay, so we saw Nate and Devon having, I don't know, breakfast, lunch, whatever, at the club, and Aunt Mamie rolls on through. And Devon's like, oh, look who's here. I hope she's not she's not going to start any trouble. And Aunt Mamie basically was like, can we get Lily here? And every minute she wants somebody to come in the mix. I was like, she ain't there. Say what you got to say. Let's move on, Aunt Mamie. Enough. And basically she's going on about how she left and she was like really thinking about what had occurred before she left and the fact that they were so angry at her. And yeah, and she basically was like, look, I took a hard look at my behavior, and I've decided that I just want to be a silent partner, and that's all I want to do. And that's what I wanted to explain to all three of you, but Lily's not here. So fast forward, Devon's like, well, before we fast forward, Aunt Mamie's like, what can I do to basically let you all know that I can be trusted and that I mean what I say? Okay, here we go. Fast forward, Devon's like, okay, you can sell us your shares in Chancellor Winters. And Aunt Mamie was like, what? Don't you think that's a bit extreme? And he's like, hey, man, if you want us to, you want to instill some trust and you want us to see that you're trustworthy, this shouldn't be no problem. And yeah, Aunt Mamie is not having it. She's just not having it. She's like, I worked long and hard. You did? Okay. Maybe there's something I'm not aware of, but okay. So she's like, I just think that's just extreme. No. So Aunt Mamie, she ain't having none of this. And Devon's like, well, it kind of makes it seem like, you're just putting a pause before you decide to, strike again. Well, she's like, I assure you that's not going to happen. And meanwhile, Nate's like back and forth, like, it's like a ping pong match, inserting, a few little words here and there. Yeah, she's like, well, I convinced you to take Nate back, and I convinced Nate to go to try it. Aunt Mamie, enough. Like, move along. Speaking of moving along, Billy basically. Okay, what have I learned from Billy? You can't tell him nothing because he talking like crazy. So insert Billy and Lily. So Billy basically tells Lily, like, he comes back and she's like, oh, you're back from your worldly trip. So they're telling Lily about Jill. Now, if you recall, Jill was like, don't tell nobody about what I'm going through. And what does Billy do? He tells Lily what she's going through. What a disaster. So anyway, he goes and he tells Lily that, Jill is sick and that it's cardiac. And she's like, oh, she didn't have another heart attack, I hope. He's like, nope, but right now she's with her brother, Snapper, and, if things continue, then it could be really bad. So Billy basically goes over this whole thing again about he wants to continue his mother's legacy should in case things go awry with her. And he has now gone back to this, adding the Abbott name to Chancellor Winters. So it would be Abbott Chancellor Winters. And of course, Lily's like, almost like, we back at this again? Yeah, no. And he's like, well, I don't see, like, what's the problem here? Because once again, I just want to fulfill my mother's legacy. And she's not gone, Billy. All right. So Lily's like, push right on to Chelsea. The two of them, Billy and Chelsea. What does Billy do? He goes and tells Chelsea the whole story again. After he goes and tells these people, my mom swore me to secrecy and I'm not supposed to say. How old are you? Like, what? What are you doing? She told you not to say anything. Jill, if you're watching, stop telling Billy stuff because he's telling all your stories. Oh boy. Yeah. And Chelsea was like, look, I feel bad, but like, I don't want to step on Jill's toes. And yeah, and he sang like a bird. Billy, no, you can't be trusted. All right. Jill, I hope you feel much, much better. Okay, push right along to, um, I think I want to save Ashley to the end. Because we don't have much to talk about, because 2 episodes was pretty much um, all about Ashley, with a little bit of Tucker and the slightest bit of Audra. We're going to actually go to Victor and the fact that Michael and Cole are trying to get back in Victor's good graces. At one point, Michael and Cole are at society, and Victor walks in and was like, what are you guys conspiring against? They're like, there's no conspiring going on. Like, whatever. Victor is not convinced. All right. So somehow they end up at Victor's place. And the two of them are looking like bewildered. Especially Michael. I was expecting him to just beg. Okay, so he basically, they want to get back, as I said, in Victor's good graces. And basically, Victor's like, why should I? You guys went and betrayed me, and you would have messed up everything. And they're like, yes, we can agree that we didn't handle it the best way, but we wouldn't have changed, what we did. We should have trusted you. And damn right you should have. Oh boy. So Michael was like, may I? So he steps up to Victor, has a seat in front of him, and basically is going on about, I like working for you, Victor. Oh, so Victor basically, he's like, what do I have to do to get back in your good graces? And he's like, all right. So basically he commissions Michael to be like buddy buddy with Diane. And then he commissions Cole to, what was Cole supposed to do? Oh man, what was Cole supposed to do? Oh, I think it had to do with Kyle and Claire or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. I just drew a blank as to what he's supposed to do. Anyway, so Michael deduces that the common denominator here is Jack. So I personally feel that Victor wants to stick it to Jack again where it comes to Nikki. And so he's going to use Diane. I feel like whatever with Cole had to do with Kyle. I feel like Diane and Kyle, like, again, this has got to do with Jack's family. But whatever. So at one point he told Cole he could go back to wherever it was. I can't remember. And he was like, bon voyage. Oh, Victor and his one-liners. They kill me from time to time. So yeah, there's going to be a ruffling of feathers that are going to be going on where this is concerned. All right. So lastly, we're going to break it down. Ashley, which I hope we don't see any more of these altars. I hope they are finally gone. But we went through one episode where basically she was hypnotized and she, was almost like a scavenger hunt and reliving, what happened at the bar when she was with Dr. Allen, which I just knew that wasn't Allen. Okay, so I had a prediction before that, again, I said, I hope they didn't go with the twin route. I was hoping that Allen he had alter with Martin, his so-called brother, but they actually ended up going the twin route. Again. Okay, so follow me here. Ashley goes through this whole wild goose chase, scavenger hunt, looking at a picture. And to be honest with you, let me just set the record straight. I really don't understand why the brother was targeting Ashley so badly, but I still left that going. Don't get it. But whatever. So we go through all this. Tracy is there with her, watching her experience all this. She goes from her hotel room to Alan's place, sees some photo because Alan wanted her to see this photo. It's in his place. One set of craziness. By the end of being hypnotized and all this malarkey, Dr. Allen basically says, I knew I could crack the code or crack it, whatever he said. And Ashley now realizes that it actually isn't Allen that she is with. It's Martin, the sociopath brother that has been MIA for like 2 years, that I guess Allen has had the feds looking for him because he's a very bad man. Oh, boy. So, anyway, Martin, he takes Ashley away, and just prior to this, he told Tracy to go into the kitchen and make coffee. And Tracy was like, now? I about died. And her going to the kitchen to make this alleged strong pot of coffee was basically a distraction. So he whisks Ashley away, and eventually, like the next episode, we discover that Dr. Allen has been tied up in a closet where he didn't have to be Houdini to get out of those ropes that he was tied up with, unless he had real thin wrists. But I was just like, what? So then Tucker had come over, and it was Tucker and Tracy, and Tucker was like, where's Ashley? Tracy's like, I don't owe you anything. I'm not telling you jack. Nothing. And yeah. Well, it was a good thing. And my prediction was that Tucker was going to save the day. And he basically did. Because when Tracy was like, you can leave whenever you want, because I ain't telling you nothing. He's like, so if I went to Ashley's apartment, I'd find her there. She's like, no. He's like, look, there's 3 cups right here on the table. So now it's a whodunit thing. Oh, boy. So, yeah. Tucker figures out that Ashley must be in close proximity. And just when he's getting ready to leave the place, you hear Ashley scream because, like a rag doll, Martin is dragging her through the corridor upstairs. And when Tucker heard Ashley bawl out, Tracy's like, "Upstairs, Ashley!" So Tucker runs off. He grabs Ashley away from Martin, who had already smacked the stuffings out of her. He holds her back. And I was like, I was waiting for Tucker to just throw down, but he didn't. I was like, womp, womp, womp. And then Dr. Allen, he emerges and, rope free. And basically he goes off on Allen. Sorry, off on Martin. See, I can't even keep them straight. He goes off on Martin, who basically was like, I was a better therapist than you, and I just a mess. So he's like, you know what I always wanted? I wanted to be an only child. Just then, Martin goes after Allen. The two of them end up fighting, and they end up going over top a balcony. Well, just so you're aware, Martin's dead. It's like, what? So basically, Martin broke Alan's fall, and all Alan ended up with was a sling, a couple of bruises, which I didn't see, and a sling. And yeah, Martin's apparently dead. I was like, what? Okay, let me insert my prediction before I forget. I feel that Dr. Allen has the hots for Tracy. Yes, I said it. And I feel like he's going to go and lean in for the kiss at some point in time. See, because Tracy ended up touching his hand at some point in time during their little private conversation. This was when Ashley was around the corner having a conversation with Jack, which that was Jack's fleeting moment pretty much for the week, and seeing how she was doing. And Dr. Allen, he seemed like he was a little sweet on Tracy. So outside of the touch that Tracy gave him, Dr. Allen had, I'm going to say this is like the next day. She's at her hotel room, and Allen meets her there. And he's basically having some conversation with her, and she says something like, it just feels like there's a fire inside of me, And I was like, oh, okay, Tracy. One minute I'm cold, and this minute I'm hot. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, Alan says something to her like, you do so much, like, who's doing for you? Whatever he said, whatever term he used. But you could tell, she's got his attention. And in my head, I would love Tracy to have a love interest. Because remember, a couple years ago, time goes by so quickly, when Kane had the hots for her, and then they did that ridiculous, roaring 20s type, memories or images, or it was so corny, but it was just like, Kane, what? That was very unpleasant to watch. Not for nothing, but it's just like, Tracy needs a man. Like how Brad was a man, like the pool boy. Like, she needs a man. And Dr. Allen, he ain't too shabby. But I feel as though there might be something that ensues with Tracy and Dr. Allen. Yep, you heard it here. Your thoughts? Drop them in the comments. Let me know what you think. Yes, so Dr. Allen feels that Ashley needs to go to a facility in order to really get better, and that she should stay in Paris and go to a facility there. He contacted the facility at some point in time, apparently, and they are going to treat her with the, give her the royal treatment and make her all better. But Ashley just needed to speak to Tucker and basically tell him, thank you very much. I don't know how you knew I was going through something. He's like, I just knew there was something off. She's like, even when my family didn't know, you knew, and like, I really appreciate you being there for me. Okay. He was like, thankful that she got the help that she needed and that she's going to get better. And yes. Meanwhile, Audra, she is doing the most where Glossade is concerned, and she keeps failing at every pass. But there's still a part of her that has the hots for Tucker. I don't know why. And I don't know why Tucker still has some sort of hots for her. But anyway, Ashley's getting ready to leave Tucker's hotel room. Insert Audra at the door. And basically, Ashley's like, calm it right down before you get any sort of, ideas all up in your head. It ain't that serious. I'm leaving. I just want to say goodbye to Tucker. You know what? I'm sure he'll fill you in on all the details. So Audra basically was like, yeah. Ashley leaves, and basically Audra is like, she's getting ready to bounce herself. Because she basically lost her mojo and she just doesn't want to deal with Tucker. But I will say, once again, thank you, writers, for giving the so-called extras some lines. Like Tucker's assistant has had a number of lines, and I'm very happy to see that. So, Ashley is going to this facility, and let's just hope for the best that we don't see any more of these alters ever again. So there you have it, folks. That was pretty much the week in a nutshell. If I happen to not mention it, probably wasn't newsworthy, or I just straight forgot. And, it is what it is. But if you stuck around to the end of this video, I am so grateful. I really love you a lot. I really appreciate your time. Just me with my craziness. And it's all for the love of the show. And I really hope that you enjoy everything that you see. Even if it's just a little bit. I just appreciate your time and being here. So we will see what's going to happen next week. And hopefully it will be something really worth talking about. All right, guys, I bid you adieu, and you take care, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.